it's not true. We do not have one-track minds. Haven't done one of these in a while. My God, Hibiki Highspots live. Pally, we are back. And by we, my right-hand man, my Wayne Bates to my Mark Donovan, Logan Myers, Future Wrestling Podcast. What's going on, man? Thank you for doing this. Kind of booked on the fly spontaneously today, but if there's any a go-to guy I can hand, you're definitely on that list. Welcome, and where can everyone go?
Of course, thank you, Travis, for having me on. And I always got your back no matter what, so you don't even have to ask me to come on the show. I'll just randomly call you on Skype and say, hey, I'm on the show. But you guys can check me right there on Twitter at LoganMyers144. Check out Future Wrestling Podcast right there on YouTube. Just go search Future Wrestling Podcast, go like, subscribe, and enjoy.
Very good, very good. And obviously, Logan, we never want to BS our listeners or any of that. As advertised, MTL Broski was supposed to be here tonight. Unfortunately, due to his current internet situation, could not make it. But he does return in 2 days on Twitch, on his show, Late Night with Broski. I know he's ecstatic. We, the listeners, are ecstatic for that. So get over there, check him out first thing in the morning. I'm also on Kayfabe Today podcast over there. And man, I wish you're here, Broski. We'll try to do you justice, because what a zany news day. I mean, there were some rumors about this Logan Hogan, but Jesus, Jeff Jarrett in the WWE Hall of Fame. It was pretty big and shocking when the Warrior went in, I feel like. Yeah, that was huge, for all the heat. But this one, who saw this coming? I mean, at least I would have down the road maybe, but not this soon.
I never expected it this soon, and it was definitely a shocker. And it was definitely a shocker to me even more, the fact that he was even put on a list to be a Hall of Famer.
Now, and see, when Logan and I are going to say comments like that, we mean it like this. I've seen it. Logan, I know you have too. We've all seen it all day on social media saying, career-wise, in WWE, he was never a top guy. He doesn't deserve it, blah, blah, blah. When you say that, Logan, what I'm getting as the politics, the TNA ownership, competing, that's what Logan means. I feel like if a guy like Mad Dog Vachon, Coco Beware, quite frankly, let's be honest, David Von Erich, who had a cup of coffee in a McMahon ring, maybe. I mean, yes, they had tremendous, but I would say Jarrett, just based on his in-ring, before TNA, up to WCW, most definitely deserves a Hall of Fame induction, considering the other guys in there. And I think I don't want people to misconstrue what you're trying to say, Logan.
Yeah, I'm not saying it in any negative way. It was just the fact that, his past with the whole leaving WWE on bad terms and stuff like that. You really don't expect them to fix that situation like a Warrior or any of the others that in the past.
Yeah, and it took the Warrior over a decade. Shout out real quick, Tater Snake, GG, Double D, AMN, pal, welcome, and Snare X. Yes, buffer. Cross our fingers. It's me streaming it, and my equipment sucks. But anyways, nonetheless, thank you for suffering through the buffering. And I didn't even mean to rhyme, but thank you for being in the chat. And I totally agree, Logan. 100%. Jeff Jarrett, though, is in fact going in. It is official. It's not some Meltzer bullshit. I don't know if I'm still blindsided by it or we're just in a state of shock, but to take a step back and see where he came from, obviously he started in Memphis. His dad, Jerry Jarrett, the booker down there forever. Pretty much Jerry Jarrett was Memphis. So there was nepotism breaking in with Jeff Jarrett. Very small. I don't know if you've ever seen him, like in the early days of Memphis. He was like a string bean. He was like Ellsworth. He definitely bulked up by the 90s by the time he got the big call. But yeah, a young Jeff Jarrett sometimes it's funny / cringy to go back and watch because he was so green. And he was thrown in there with guys like Lawler and Dundee way before he should have been, kind of like a Greg Gagne was, Logan.
Yep, and that's the truth. That is the truth. Jeff Jarrett has been in WCW, and he's been in WWE. A lot of people say he did more in WCW than he did in WWF back in the day.
You okay, Logan? Logan?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. I don't know what happened.
I don't know. I was
You
talking.
ended it on like a question, and I was like, Logan. Anyway, I know everyone's a little down in the dumps, right? Because Broski's not here. That's the obvious elephant in the room. We're trying our best. But I had a surprise plan for you and Broski you didn't know about, so I'm going to do it. It's going to be a 3-man fucking booth, because check this shit out. 1 second. If any of you guys are familiar with our good buddy Jim from Drink a Beer Play Game, Team Laser Mouse represent, he's in the house. As soon as he answers the call, Jim, what's going on, man? Welcome to Hibiki Highspots. I think Jim's there.
Hello, boys.
Jim, yes, I plugged you in
Oh
everything.
my
I thought you were
gosh.
there. I said, welcome, man. Look at this, unadvertised as a surprise. Welcome to the Hibiki Highspots. I'm stumbling because I'm so excited to have you here.
Dude, I'm glad to be here. Of course, I'm doing it off my phone like a guy who's never done anything on the internet before, like a goddamn asshole. But thanks to my computer being a fucking piece of shit, I'm here. I still found a way.
Man,
And
we
I'm
thank you
glad.
for finding a way, for sure. Real quick, for those that aren't familiar with what you and Brian do at your channel, where can everyone check you out and all that good stuff?
I am one half of the page known as Drink a Beer and Play a Game. We are found on YouTube as Drink a Beer and Play a Game and on Twitch under the same name. Find us on Twitter at A Beer and a Game and on Facebook and Instagram as well. We do video game reviews, beer pairings, and it's the home of the Power Hour podcast, which is also on iTunes.
Very nice, silky smooth as usual. Jim,
Like
welcome.
I've done it before.
Obviously, we're going over the big time shocking news about Jeff Jarrett today. Kind of just going over, like, we got to the obvious elephant in the rooms again about, like just the shock and all, but now we're talking about like his early days in Memphis. Have you ever gone back and see him when he first broke in? He was like so little, like a toothpick.
Nah, I can't say I have. I mean, he never got big anyway, so I imagine when he first started off, he must have been like 150 pounds.
Yeah, and his dad, as we were saying, it was like total nepotism style booking, throwing him in there because he was the booker with guys like Jarrett way too soon and stuff. But I will say, Jeff Jarrett caught on for all the oh, I don't want to watch him on my TV as a main eventer, or just people that were never into Jarrett. I was never huge into Jarrett, but I will say he was talented. You got to give him that. He could definitely he could carry a match on his own. I feel like pretty well.
Oh yeah, he's a solid worker, and he's always been a good heel. So like, I never saw him as like a main event guy, even though he pushed himself there hundreds of times. But I mean, yeah, he's always been a solid worker at the very least. Oh, and by the way, Broski, Logan, so glad to be on here with you guys.
No broski, but I'm here.
No Broski?
No Broski. He was supposed to go over and walk across the street to Tim Hortons, pull the curtain back, and use their internet on his phone, but he thought they were open 24 hours. They closed at 9, apparently.
Oh, denied. Well,
Yeah.
Logan, I'll have to love you double as much then, my friend.
Thank you, Jim. I'm very happy that you're here. And Travis, first time me and Jim's actually been on a show together. So you really made my night.
Incorrect. I did
feel
a show
like,
with you last year.
Yeah, like we did a post-show pay-per-view one time.
Did we?
I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure.
I think it was like Extreme Rules 2016 or something like that.
Wow. See, it's been so long, so I can't really.
It's been a hot minute. It's
Yeah.
before the love affair started. Before it bloomed.
Not the Karen Jarrett Kurt Angle love affair either that we'll get to. No, the Jim Logan.
Ooh, that's a spicy one.
So, I mean, the obvious. I mean, Karen didn't bring the kids to Kurt's. I've seen the memes. Think she's going to bring them to Jeff's, and Kurt's going to sit there and just sulk and stew all night and do the crazy eyes.
That would be one guy I would not want to do that to. But, I mean, from the stories that are out there, Karen's a pretty badass bitch. So I think she kind of runs both relationships.
She's really tall. She's a tall lady.
Lanky broad.
Lanky, yeah. See, that's why you're here, Jim. That's exactly why you're here.
I bring the hot adjectives.
Isn't she like
hot ass.
5? Isn't she like 5 inches taller than Jeff Jarrett?
I thought everybody was, but probably. No, I mean, Jeff Jarrett, besides, I think, is it a crime that newer fans know Jarrett more for TNA instead of the Double J, or is it kind of a blessing? Like, you think at the end of the day, Jeff Jarrett kind of wants that tarnish from the record? Like, I never wore that weird stripper male costume once upon a time.
I think it would be foolish of him to shy away from it because he did some good work in his WWF run. Like, he was a great mid-card heel. He was that perfect. He was almost kind of like what The Miz was for a couple years, where he's just that guy that everyone just did not want to see. And it wasn't so much X-Pac heat as it was just like just a visceral, I don't like this guy. I don't want to see this guy. I want to see this little shit heel lose.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're totally right with the Miz comparison. He didn't have the go away heat. He's a really good fucking heel heat at what he does. And I think the accent really helped him too, especially in a promotion up north at the time. Because, the Yankees hated the Southerners and all that shit. But
JARR. Oh, wait. I already skipped the first part. Fuck it. You know what I mean.
What do you think, Logan? Do you think that he should shy away from the Double J days, or you think he should embrace it?
I think he should embrace it. I mean, it's part of his career in the long run.
And he was still IC champ. It's not like he was, like some guy who was booked into the gutter during that run. Like, he was a solid mid-card guy, like I said already. Like, he got pushes. He got, actual storylines. He got heat. I don't know why he'd be ashamed of it if not because he wasn't, top of the mountain.
I feel like he was one of the few guys in that company at the time, too, that got a clean pin on Razor Ramon. Not a lot of guys did that, besides, like, a Michaels or, And I remember Jeff Jarrett also having, like, matches with Bret Hart that were really good. The crowd got really into, and it was believable because he was that kind of good heel, that he could be main event when he wanted to, but he was never that guy for the long run in a way, like spurts, kind of like where the Miz is now. Like as good as the Miz is now, I still don't think, and people say it all the time, the Miz should be a long-term top heel champion. I still don't think that fans are going to want that.
Nah, I don't see him as long-term. I think he'd get exposed long term. There's only so much to being the conniving little shit heel can get you, unless you have like a kind of almost a weird run like Seth Rollins had when he was the shit heel. But yeah, the Miz, like I'd like to see him get the belt. I'd like to see him have go promo for promo with say Paul Heyman or some of the top guys who can actually talk. But long term, it just would not work.
Yeah. Another thing I think I should. Oh, go ahead, Logan. My bad.
Well, I was gonna say earlier, Jim said he was like top of the mountain. I thought he was gonna say king of the mountain, and like do like his TNA gimmick there with his with the King of the Mountain tournament and all that.
That would have been a little more appropriate, I would say.
I was gonna say pun intended there.
Yeah, another title that he created for himself to give himself. What a shock!
I feel like King of the Mountain debuted in what, 05 or something, right? And I still don't understand the fucking rules. I'm still lost. It's too much. It's like one of those cases like you never want to confuse the fans too much. It's like a penalty box, right? And you sit in it and you wait. Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember the rules. Maybe the chat can help us out with the rules of the King of the Mountain match. I will say this. This is what I was going to, and I feel like he should also embrace it as well. He won the IC title at a time where it was like, God, it was the workhorse.
It meant something.
Yeah, exactly. And for them to put the stamp on a guy with that belt at the time, it was a big deal. It really was. And he got music videos on top of it and a live performance with the band at an In Your House where he lip sang and just, they really ran with it. And it's one of those characters in those days, you can tell when Vince really loved the character, like the Lex Express, like Vince saw himself as that. Vince probably really loved this Jeff Jarrett gimmick because I can picture Vince listening to like Garth Brooks and Conway Twitty and Getting Down. That's probably the music he likes, right?
Double J was probably the Southern boy that Vince grew up as that he always like tried to run away from. Because he's from what, North Carolina or something like that?
Yeah.
So there's always that Southern root down in there that I think he actually let come out. And you really haven't seen it since. Like, what country boys have the WWF really had since Jarrett? And I'm not going to count White for, being the Cajun witch doctor kind of guy.
Cajun Papa Shango. Yeah, people would say, "Oh, Shawn Michaels was from Texas." Well, he doesn't come off like a Southerner, though. It's like,
nah.
You know what I mean? Austin maybe is the closest I could.
Yeah, true. But even then, even since Austin, they haven't had another Southern boy either. So
it's been
I think it's just that untapped thing.
Yeah, but I would say the biggest, most memorable thing from this time, we cannot do the show. You heard the intro music, is the With My Baby Tonight music video song.
Oh, yes.
This guy over here reminded me today, actually, in our group chat, that was on the album Full Metal, which I don't remember it being on, but I trust you.
It was the last track.
Tremendous.
Same
I was such a
as
dork
by
as a
Double
kid.
J and the Roadie.
I was such a dork as a kid. I would put that in my CD player and like do entrances with my brother in our room because it was like because we never, if you remember like the fan club back then, you would get like cassette tapes with the end, but we were never a member of that. So this is like the first time we had like real fucking nerdy access to the theme music, and we used it. Trust me.
Oh, dude, my buddies and I did the same thing because we'd be making our own little wrestling leagues, wrestling pillows on our friend's bed, and we'd come out, we'd pick theme music, and I'd wear out fucking CD players using my CDs when I'd be playing with my wrestling toys. So I had to have the music. I had to have the full setup.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like King Mabel's theme in the right system, that shit bumped. Like that shit was...
Oh, dude. Can you imagine having a giant-ass woofer system in your car going down the street to Mabel's fucking music?
That shit's pretty heavy, actually. Like, if you go back, it's wow.
People looking at a goofy white boy going, man, this dude's hood as shit. And really, it's just King Mabel blasting.
It's at that moment, like, you come in mid-song at the stoplight, and you see, like, the gang stars saying that about it. But then, like, you play the track over, so you get that royal entrance music, and let them hear that.
That's right.
That's when you speed off, when it kicks back in again.
Logan knows all about that.
Exactly, I do.
But yeah, the song, obviously Brian James, Road Dogg, whatever you want to call him, he sang it. Wasn't bad singer. Not a bad singer. I feel like this could have been on 90s country radio. I still stand by that.
Yeah, I mean, country music's garbage in general, so yeah, he would have fit right in.
Exactly. But it's a catchy little tune. It's one of those things, those so bad it's good moments in wrestling. I always go back and watch sometimes. But yeah, and obviously he left in 96, Jeff Jarrett. I think it was a financial fallout both times he left over his contract.
I think it was later. I think it was either 98 or 99.
Well, what happened, he lost to Shawn Michaels at that In Your House. He lost the IC belt, it was like July 95. Because it was the same show where they did that live performance. And then he went away for a little bit, like a couple months. It was an In Your House in like late 95. He came back and he actually started a feud with Ahmed Johnson for like a month. Right. And then they had the match at Rumble 96 where he shattered the guitar over Ahmed, and Ahmed had a wedgie, and he no-sold it as always.
Always had that wedgie.
He's always had that. I'm about to say it.
But then it's like he went away, and at the time, the sheets aren't what they are now. Obviously, with instant news, and you just never knew why. But then he popped up in WCW like a year and a half later. It wasn't like an immediate jump either. It was a while. And like the Horseman feud, right? Let's get into it. Steve McMichael. We actually have a reason to bring up Mongo, and I'm glad Jim's here for it.
Finally. I've been waiting for this shit channel to have some Mongo talk in it.
Man,
yeah, because
would some say the finest tombstone in the business?
Yep.
It was nasty. It's pretty nice.
Probably because he almost killed every guy he gave it to, but minor details. He kept the kayfabe a little too real.
He does the Von Erich style wrestling, like pretty much beat you up. But if the guy complains, like, well, it was kayfabe anyways, shut up. Von Erichs did whatever they want. Mongo did whatever he wanted. Logan, do you feel like Jarrett was ever Horseman material? Like, they teased it. They never officially put him in, but they always teased it at this time.
He could have been. If you look back, I think he could have fit in to that, but I probably would have been better than him going in 2000 to WCW and joining NWO.
Yeah, it was a weird thing because with Jarrett, it's almost like, what role does he fit? Would he have been, say, the Tully of that era? And even then, the Horsemen were kind of faces, so Jarrett didn't even really fit in then. It was a weird time for the Horsemen. It was definitely the downturn, too, but I don't know. Like, unless he took over the Ric Flair role, it's almost like he didn't have a spot for himself. It's just like the worker kind of guy.
Exactly. How many figureheads do you need in a stable, basically? Like, Jarrett's not a fallback. He has the charisma, at least, where he's not a fallback guy. Like, he has to be front and center if I put him in a stable,
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's just, yeah, I mean, you had, Mongo, Flair, Jarrett, and who else is even in the Horsemen at the time?
Anderson. So there you got three guys right there that are pretty good. Oh, two are incredible, but Jarrett's pretty good promo. And then you got Mongo, who's just crazy. You don't really have that silent shit kicker anymore, which I think is an underrated big part of what made the Horsemen work. For all, like, the little guys like talk shit because you had a big ass Ole or Barry or Lex back there. That's what made the Horsemen kind of work, I feel like.
Oh, definitely.
It added credibility and, like, muscle and bodyguard type atmosphere to the Horsemen, which enhanced the Hollywood type feel. I didn't think he fit either. I agree with what you guys said. This time, honestly, it was just his entire, like, not even a year. He went to WCW in '97. It just teased the Horseman. He won like a U.S. title. Then he left. Popped up on this is where we all come back in. Obviously, the Attitude Era with the NWA invasion, led by Jim Cornette. They tried to bring in Barry Windham, the Rock and Roll Express. I even remember being 14 or 15 at the time and thinking that the NWA was just so passe and old. Like, and this was bad even then. It just didn't work.
Logan,
I
you want to
you
go?
guys remember this? Honestly, it was that unforgettable.
Oh, like I remember it. Well, I'm not going to say fondly, but I do remember it well. Like Jarrett came out with that like weird. He had like a weird cape going on too at that time, didn't he?
Yeah.
It was like a weird cape and like almost like pastel-ish colors, and he's coming out with the classic NWA globe belt, which I don't know. Compared to the Wing Eagle, it was just like, what's this chintzy piece of crap? Get this out of here. And
Yeah,
this was
and
as
like-
a guy who knew nothing about NWA really. I just remember like of the name and just thinking, oh, that's old guy wrestling.
That's my grandfather's wrestling. Is what that is.
Yeah.
Thought at the time.
Wrestling.
I feel like his outfit. Okay, you know how like you go to a museum, like a legit museum, but there's a section that they'll do every year during school season where the second graders have their pictures. I feel like they designed this outfit. It was pastel. It was colorful. It was just. The music also, I remember being like, I felt like I was in fucking a cave. It was just unfitting, and thankfully, I mean, at first he kind of segued back to the Double J character. They brought in Tennessee Lee, Colonel Rob Parker. This wasn't
Oh
awful.
Jesus!
Wasn't awful.
No, it wasn't awful. Forgot about that though.
Actually, a feud with Logan's favorite wrestler of all time, his mentor Steve Blackman, during this era for Jarrett.
Hell yeah.
Is this where you, because you're a little younger, Logan, than on most of us on the usual shows, is this where you kind of came in with your Jarrett history when he was in the Attitude Era, and then like he lost the hair match to X-Pac?
The only thing that I can really remember is his feud with China. That's really it. That's
And
how
honestly,
young
I really don't blame you because, I mean, like we said, like this was okay. This Double J, like the second run 2.0 in the Attitude, but it was unforgettable. Like Steve Blackman was honestly the biggest feud.
Now, was this before or after he was teaming with Owen? Was this around like the same time?
No, that was
he
like
teamed up
99.
with Owen in '99.
Yeah, that was like
Okay,
a
it's
year
like
or
tail
so. Yeah, like what happened here? They brought back the Godwins, changed their name to Southern Justice, kind of made a statement
Right.
with Jarrett, and then he lost his hair. He did the "Don't piss me off" gimmick where he would write it on everything. It seemed like to get it over.
Oh, that's right. Holy shit, that's a blast from the past. I completely forgot about that.
I feel like that's
Surprise,
an
surprise.
Attitude too, where it says "Don't piss me off" on the
I'm
game.
gonna start using that. That's my new gimmick towards Eric. Don't piss me off.
I'm scared.
Logan, can you do me a favor and man the chat? By the way,
Yes, sir, I can.
thank you.
Snare
Sir.
X says, and the thunder rolls, and the lightning strikes, blue, blue, blue.
I just want to know if we're experiencing lag issues still. We probably are because it's my internet.
Yeah, I think it's every time I think you started looking at the chat, it would like start loading. But we're good if I do it.
Anyway, yeah, it led to the China match, the intergender wrestling.
Oh boy.
If it ever gets a pass, it would be with someone that looks like China. I can't help it. I get it. Women are talented in the ring, but perception is fucking reality to me still. I'm sorry because I have eyes, you know. But I didn't. I mean, I didn't like this at the time. I'm just saying in general, if they're going to do intergender style, this would be, you know, the size of China. But I hated this angle at the time. This was awful, and all the guys I've seen in shoots hated doing these angles too. Like Hardcore Holly later, you know, not one of Jericho's finest moments around this time. And that's after this. This when he jumped to WCW with Russo, and you guys are such huge fans of this. I'll let you take this one if you want, Jeff.
Oh God, with the WC. So we're at the WCW run now, right?
Wherever we want to be, really. If you want to say anything about his China match, by all means, because I don't have a lot to say about it. It's one of those things, like, if they put it on a compilation DVD, I'll always skip that match.
Oh yeah, it's like, what is there to say? Like China, I mean, for all, you know, as big a draw as she was never really a worker. So it's not like a match is going to be good. Even a guy as good as Jarrett, he couldn't carry that. Bret Hart would have a hard time. And Yeah, I mean, from there until the end of his run and fucking poor Owen dying and Jarrett just kind of being like, I'm done with this and holding Vince for money. It's like, what's really memorable except for him holding Vince up for money?
I'm glad you segued it back for me. That's another reason I have you here to sew it all together. I totally forgot about his pairing with Deborah, which could be maybe his biggest run as far as just being over and getting heat, and more so than he was ever a world champion in TNA and WCW. I feel like this run in the Attitude Era with Deborah was like his stamp. I feel like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like it's definitely memorable. Like she was the eye candy. He came out smacking people in the head with his guitar. It worked.
It's kind of like what Mark Marrow and Sable should have been. Like, as insanely over as Deborah's chest was, it never, like, you could argue it overshadowed Jarrett, but I feel like Jarrett, it didn't. I feel like he was still winning titles. He was still, like we said, the China angle, for as hokey or bad or mediocre as it was a very big deal at the time. It was one of the most focal points on television. You know what I mean? It's not like, I don't feel like he was Mark Marrow at all. I thought he held his own.
Oh yeah, I would definitely say that he held his own there.
You think, Logan?
I got something, and I know we're gonna probably agree. Elias nowadays is what Jeff Jarrett should have been. That's my opinion.
As far as crowd reaction?
Crowd reaction, the guitar, everything.
I respectfully disagree. That's fair. Because I think Elias is a character you could go either way. I think he could work as a babyface or a heel. Jeff Jarrett never worked as a babyface, ever.
I think Elias could work, both as well. But I think he will thrive better as a heel.
I still say he's the modern day honky tonk man. Like, he plays,
Yep.
but Jarrett never played. I don't think he strummed one fucking chord in almost 30 years of wrestling.
I don't think he did either. I don't think he even knows how to play a guitar.
Watch him, like, really know how to play, and he's like that. Who's that Spanish dude on the infomercials? What the fuck?
Oh shit! No, not Esteban or
Esteban. I feel like.
Was that it? Something like that.
Yeah, he's probably that good. That's how he got Karen. Just played Spanish guitar to her with his finger.
Well, I mean, I know I'd melt to that. If you're stealing her away from Kurt Angle, you know you have some skills.
I see what you're saying, Logan, but I think for me, they're two different gimmicks. I think they're done differently, is what it is for me.
I guess what Elias has been doing with hitting people with the guitar kind of reminds me of a honky tonk man mixed with Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah, that's fair. I feel like, definitely.
And it almost seems like something too easy to really fuck up. Just be annoying and hit a guy with a guitar and run away. Mm-hmm. Even though Elias doesn't really run away as much, I'll give him that.
No, especially when Braun Strowman came out a couple weeks ago. Elias actually started fighting him face to face, and it was like, okay, he's not that big of a pussy like The Miz.
Yeah.
I think if Uncle Paul's booking, I don't think he's a fan of chicken shit heels. And if he is, he only wants one per show on a show. I think, and I kind of agree, I think too many chicken shit heels, it kind of gets old.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, you can't have too many because then it's just like, oh, every heel is going to be running away.
And then it gets repetitive.
I feel like Jarrett was never a chicken shit heel. Like, he definitely was in angles where he did that, but I feel like he was more of a Weasley snake kind of heel. Like, he'd seem like he'd slip out of a situation, but then he hit you with a guitar out of nowhere. So, like, he got the end of the upper hand at the end of the angle, storyline, whatever.
Snare X says, I wouldn't want to wrestle China. And he also said Thunder Thighs. Ever see those watermelon videos?
I have not.
Yep.
Thunder Thighs watermelons?
I don't know what that is.
Are we talking about China's implants?
Are you talking about her pornography?
I'm guessing we're talking her pornography. I'm thinking that's what we're talking about.
Everyone affiliated with this channel has probably seen it, I'm going to guess.
Oh, yeah. Definitely dabbled.
Jim's seen it 3 times in a row.
I'm doing it right now.
What? Oh, my
God. Other than that, it was just him and Russo. Him just being shoved. I feel like he was shoved down everyone's throats in WCW. He just wasn't on that level. As okay as he was in the ring, and he was fine on the mic. He just was never that guy.
He really wasn't. I mean, if the best thing that came from that is, Booker T winning the title from him, being the guy that like people wanted to see lose and it going to a guy people really wanted to see win, then I guess he did at least that job. But the NWO run, just his top run in general, ugh.
I feel like, if anything, when he was shoved down our throats in TNA as world champion, it was a little bit better because the matches were better, the talent was way better. I feel like I would prefer my TNA world title run over my WCW if I was his all day.
Oh yeah, he did a lot better work in TNA, and like I'll be up front, I didn't watch a lot of TNA in the early days, so I'm going to be relying on you guys a lot. But from the bits I've seen, like he was definitely a solid champion for a promotion like that.
Yeah, when he wasn't drunk.
Ooh, shots fired. That was rehab. Way to fucking kick a man while he's down, Logan.
Oof. Good thing we have Jeff Hardy to fall back on.
Or RVD.
Or like 50 other fucking guys because the wrestlers probably.
Or everyone in the 80s.
Or 90s.
You know,
just keep every era.
I remember when Karen Jarrett came on an interview and criticized Kurt Angle for his DUIs and his past. And then just like, a couple months ago, Jeff Jarrett's going to rehab for almost basically the same thing.
Yeah.
It's like, for real, you're going to criticize one dude, but I don't hear you criticizing him.
Do we maybe think Karen drives men to drink?
I think so.
I was about to say something like that, yeah. And I really doubt that, when Jeff was holding the wine glass, he was doing it alone. I'm sure she was right there with him, both of them, every step of the way.
Oh, yeah. In a lot of ways, it takes two to tango. But, I mean, I guess, do we do the PC thing where it's like, we're not there, we don't know it on, blah, 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 blah.
No, because I feel like someone like a Karen is so see-through to me, in a way.
Yeah. I'm just saying the smell test doesn't pass, like, when it comes to her.
Yeah, pretty much. Let's just do it. Let's pull the Band-Aid off TNA, the TNA days, the founder of TNA, all that stuff, starting it up. And hey, we'll say what you want. TNA's a meme at this point, but at the time, I mean, TNA was one of the hottest promotions, if not in the world. It had the most buzz. The matches were amazing. I give Jarrett credit I give anybody credit who's not a scumfuck sleazebag. I'm not saying Jarrett's not, but that goes up against the machine and almost wins. You got to respect that, especially because you're not. It's a lot different. You're putting your life into a company. When you sign up to start a company, you sign up to take away all of your free fucking time. That's what you do. You sacrifice your kids, all that shit. The tried and true fucking cliche stuff. And Jarrett did that, and I feel like yes. The cash for gold schemes he's done in recent years, that was shitty. That was so bad.
And even him falling out with his own dad, who he started TNA with. So
that's what I was asking you guys today. I don't even know if they still speak.
I don't know what their current situation is, but I know they had a real bad falling out.
I feel like the best thing that Jarrett ever did in TNA, the best and worst, was meeting Dixie Carter was the best thing he ever did, and meeting Dixie Carter was the worst thing he ever did. Financially, it took them to another level they'd probably never imagined, right?
If Dixie just stayed off camera, what could have happened?
Probably nothing new, nothing different.
Maybe not, but I mean, with the financial backing, and the ability to sign people, if they didn't try and copy what the fuck they do with Vince and WWE way too much, with the owner / heel boss who tries to be the star, like that's just poison for any wrestling promotion these days.
Yeah,
exactly.
The highlight.
There's one Vince. There's one guy who can do that and get away with it. At the end of the day, for me.
Like Steph can't do it. Hunter can barely do it, but that's just because he's a child of the business.
Shane doesn't even know where the fuck he's at most weeks. You forget what city they're in. God, he's insufferable. You're right.
Yep. Highlight of Dixie Carter's career is being powerbombed by Bubba through a table in TNA.
Dixie was most definitely the nail. I feel like they've got any kind of good buzz or momentum. They're slowly, and I say slowly, trying to climb that mountain now. But I feel like she was the nail. The original casket or coffin, whatever, it was the reliance on former WWE talent, I feel like, was what just...
Yep.
The thing about Jarrett, when he was in full control, he was a master at the time, which is what made TNA good. Yes, he would bring in WWE talent former like Christian, Sting, but he would sprinkle them in, and the show would still seem like its main and most important angles were the X division. It just had those main event guys like a Scott Steiner or whatever there for like the cherry on the sundae. TNA was X division in the golden era TNA. When Dixie took full control of the helm, she flipped it 180% and made XWB talent the focal point and made the X division a fragment of what it meant before, and that's what I feel like was the initial final fucking blow, you know?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, when it was at its hottest from what, 05 to 08, you could say? Like, what were the two things they held its hat on? The X division and the knockouts.
And Kurt
Which,
Angle.
you know,
and Kurt Angle was the perfect guy to bring in because he was a hybrid guy that could go with X division guys and hang and main event guys.
Mm-hmm. Snare X says, brave man. And then he also says, Karen Jarrett drives them to drink beers and play games.
I like it.
Probably
Wait, does that mean I knew
Capcom
Karen?
versus fucking SNK too.
Maybe after a certain podcast, I might have to break that out. If only there was someone here who likes that game and could play it with me, but I guess I don't know anyone.
If you do, you got to pick Joe Hiyashi for me. He's the man. Love Joe.
Oh, yeah. Always go, Joe.
Kicks all day, baby. Yeah, here we come, though, full circle. Like the TNA rants aside, as we reach the end of the show here coming up, we are what it is, Jim. You weren't on at the very beginning. We just talked about where we're at now with just this induction in general. Like, yes, I could have seen it coming in like 5 to 10 years, but not this soon.
I'm really surprised because it really is that old saying in wrestling, like, you know, expect the unexpected and old wounds and shit like that. Like, he was up there with Ultimate Warrior for me, with a guy that they would never bring back or would never consider talking to again for what he did to Vince. Fucking Vince, man, he just sees through it to get a name for these ceremonies. Maybe he's trying to get a back catalog of some tapes from somewhere. I don't know, but there's always an end route with it.
And that's why I always think CM Punk could come back. But then again, that could be said for a lot of guys that has came back. And Jeff Jarrett, for one, is one of the most shocking.
You could also argue maybe the well's running dry because when you induct 13 guys a year, you're going to run out of names eventually. There's still a lot of names. Obviously, a lot of the front members.
Yeah, but I mean, like, last year when you had Rikishi and the Godfather in the same year, like, ugh.
That was, yeah.
Like, nothing to take away from those guys. Like, I loved them during their run, but any other Hall of Fame in the world, those guys would never make it. Like, they dilute their own product once again.
Exactly. And I feel like where we're at now this year is a little better in the right direction. I mean, the Goldberg one is the most unsurprising, most predictable one. So everyone was kind of like, yeah, whatever, it's fine. But the Dudleys, I'm really happy for the Dudleys, actually, because they're one of my favorite tag teams of all time. Like, legit.
Oh, and they deserve it. And they were monstrously successful in every promotion they were in. So they deserve it. Even Jarrett, I'll give it to him because with the exception of freaking WWE, he was a world champion every place he went. Now, some places he booked himself to be it, but still.
Yeah. And I think the rumors are Bam Bam Bigelow may still go in, and that's a guy I've been waiting for forever.
Jesus Christ. He should have been in years ago.
He should have been in like year 3 that they started doing it, honestly, because he's like a forerunner for a guy that brought in a mixture of big man being able to work with little man style. Perfect example.
Yeah, and then there's also rumors of Vader going in now and William Regal.
That's a great class, actually, if that's true.
Yeah, that's really solid class. And I mean, Vader, hopefully, you know, he's unfortunately on his way out. So I'd love to see him to have that one last moment. And William Regal, of course, he has to be in every friggin' Hall of Fame.
Yeah, most definitely. I think the biggest thing, what I've seen on social media today since the Jarrett announcement, everyone needs to just calm down. For one, it's not that serious. It should be an honor for these people when every week or month or leading up to Mania season, every year Mania season, they do it like every week. We don't need to bring up China for every inductee on social media. They're going to induct China someday. Just wait a little bit. Just chill. It's okay. It's going to be all right.
Just the fact they even mention her, the fact that Steph will mention her says, you know, it's going to happen one day. It's not like she's that don't talk about this person.
And a prime example of a reason I tend to pull back more on wrestling content and focus more on gaming content. Yes, the gaming community can be cringy too, but you guys sometimes, you fucking guys in the wrestling community, when this woman was still kicking, doing her porn, sucking her dicks, hanging out with Vince Russo and shoots. You made her a walking fucking meme. And then she passes on into the afterlife. Rest in peace. All respects. But you don't treat her like fucking Mother Teresa now. You don't get to do that. Just because you deleted some tweets. Pick a fucking side. Grow a set. It's a Hall of Fame induction. It's kayfabe. It's not the Baseball Hall of Fame.
You know what?
Pete fucking
You know what?
Rose. This is a kayfabe product. Calm the fuck down. And I'm the one worked up at the end of it.
Okay, Travis. You know what? China better go in, or I'm gonna be the next one crying on a video. It's still real to me, damn it.
You dirty cocksucker, Logan.
And to Travis's point, they're inducting the ninth wonder of the world. They're not inducting One Night in China or the Avengers porno or China's First Anal or whatever ones have I seen. But
or
either way,
her face or her coworkers.
and it's going to be like anything else where it's, well, I mean, that's a woman in wrestling. That's all of them. But like when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, like I think there's a shelf life because people are starting to get back on the, oh, well, Ultimate Warrior was, he was a shitty guy, and they're over that, holiday of him being inducted and dying the day later and all that shit. So I think there's a shelf life, but God, you're so right, Travis. Wrestling fans are just the most fickle motherfuckers, and they just have to take a stand and just like grandstand on every issue.
Tammy Sitch, guilty as sin. Already inducted in the Hall of Fame, though, okay? Then she did it. But we don't like that because she wore the ring during it. So fuck her. Now, if she didn't wear the ring, well, she only did porn. She shouldn't be ostracized from the Hall of Fame. You guys.
She was doing it for her fans. She was giving them something to hold on to.
Yep.
$30, Logan. You get some FaceTime with Sonny. Did you know
Jeez.
What do you think?
$30.
Saddle up, buckaroo. We are out of time. Man, I am so excited, and thank you so much for coming on again, Jim, man. Where can everyone catch you at one more time?
Well, it just cut out a second. Hello?
We good now?
Hello? We here?
Are we good?
Go ahead, Jim.
All right, goddamn, that's a shame because that was a hell of an outro. But once again, you can find me on Drink a Beer and Play a Game on YouTube, at A Beer and a Game on Twitter, Drink a Beer and Play a Game on Twitch, Facebook, and Instagram, and as always, the Power Hour podcast on iTunes.
Oh yeah,
thank you, Jim.
Get over there, get off your happy asses, subscribe to Drink Beer and Play a Game, check out the Twitch, good stuff, good pallies, Team Laser Mouse represent. Thank you again, Jim, for talking some Double J. Speaking of guys, top guys, Logan Myers. Where can everyone catch up?
Thank you, Travis. Thank you, Jim, for coming on as well. Happy to talk with you. My last comment is, has hell frozen over? I still think it has. You guys can check me right there on Twitter at Logan Myers 144. Check out Future Wrestling Podcast right there on YouTube. Go like, subscribe, and enjoy. Thank you, Travis.
And as always, you can check me out on Twitter at the Big TND. Check out the reset button. All the goodness. Catch me on first thing in the morning. Kayfabe Today podcast. Grapple Vision. Never Drew a Diamond. Drew Ortman. And immediately following this live Future Wrestling Podcast, Logan's Little Raw History Show. Until next time, Hibiki Highspots. See you then.